I'm with Mr. Orlando Pandolfi, a Director of Music Programs at St. Paul's. Thank you for this session, this interview.
Hi, Jean. It's great to see you again.
Thank you. I think one of the key questions that our viewers are interested in is how do you assess students or musicians into your program, and how do you evaluate, and what types of students take a part in your orchestra music program?
Well, it's a pretty wide range. There are two components. There's who we get and how we deal with them once they're here, and then who we look for. And the main part of my job working with admissions is who I happen to be looking for.
Yes.
And like any basketball team, and you're missing your center, and you need somebody who's really tall and athletic, then that person is going to get a little extra attention. So in the case of music, I have to look at, you know, what the orchestra was it going to be comprised of in the following year, and what am I missing? And so there tend to be instruments that come up quite often. Viola, for instance. You know, we're always on the lookout for strong viola players, because that's a little bit more unusual in terms of string. So I always encourage young players who are looking at violin to maybe consider viola, because it's a beautiful instrument.
Yes.
And it's also, pragmatically, it's a great hook for getting into schools like St. Paul's, and even beyond in college.
Yes.
And it's the same with winds. You know, there are certain winds that are just, you don't find a whole lot of. Right now, there seems to be a dearth of brass players. You know, it's hard to find good. I was even talking to my counterpart at Exeter, and he says, we have very little strong brass players. So, and that happens to be my forte, French horn. But, you know, trumpet, French horn, trombone, tuba. There was a time in the United States where we were teeming with those players, and they were coming to these private schools. But now they tend to be staying more in the Midwest public school system, and we don't really get those kind of kids.
Right.
And since a big draw for most of our music programs comes from Asia,
Yes.
you know, and there's not a big brass tradition still. It's growing, and there's some fine players out there. But we're trying to get, you know, more young people to look into maybe pursuing another instrument besides piano or violin.
And you work closely with students who come to St. Paul's and they don't have the skill sets to sit at your orchestra, but they still can pursue their music passion at St. Paul's.
Yes, right? Absolutely. I mean, once we get our student body, they're not always going to be people off our list. I have a young violist, he's a senior this year, who's actually, I think, headed off to Dartmouth. Now, when he came in here, he was kind of a beginner. We have a very good viola teacher, and he was of a kind of quality of character that said, I want to really do this. And now he gets a beautiful sound. He can play the orchestra music. I know they'd be happy to have him in the Dartmouth Orchestra. And he's, you know, one of those rare finds who really said, okay, I'm going to really continue to pursue this. But we have some beginning everything. You know, I have a young trumpet player now who hadn't had much experience coming in, very, very raw, but he's very smart.
Yes.
And he hasn't quite caught fire yet. But I can sense that if he does, by the time he's a senior, he's going to be playing at a very high level.
Yes.
So our teachers are capable of teaching very, very high-level students, you know, who are coming in already quite capable, but we also understand that we're going to get a number of students who are really fledgling, and you know, we hope to grow them. The one thing, though, when you start an instrument early, or I'm sorry, late or early in the St. Paul's career, there are so many other things that they're doing here that they get distracted.
Right.
When they come in with a level of experience, they've already invested a lot of time, and they're not willing to throw it away. So if I get a violinist who's been playing 2 years, there's a pretty good chance that they come here and they'll play a year and then they'll quit. They don't have enough investment. But if you have somebody coming in 10 years, I don't think their parents, I don't think their parents would let them quit. You know?
And I think by then music has become a great part of their life. That
they wouldn't want a day without it. And I have a number of kids who are like that. You know, some terrific students, and even though they're not trying to be musicians, professional musicians.
Yes.
Even though some of them might not even play in college.
Yes.
It's been such an important part of their lives, and they've realized all the benefits of learning music.
Yes.
You know, there are plenty of benefits that help them academically. I mean, there's
Yes.
all sorts of neuroscience
Right.
on
Right.
what happens when you learn an instrument.
That's why it's so popular in Asia.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Great. Okay. Well, I think that was good.
Yeah, okay, excellent.
Thank you.